My parents asked for $50,000 for my sister's perfect wedding after they kicked me out. I said okay. Now her fiancé doesn't want a wedding because I told the truth. I never thought I'd hear from my parents again after they kicked me out when I was 26. At the time, I had just decided to drop out of medical school. It wasn't an easy decision. I'd been there for 6 years and I was miserable. My heart wasn't in it, and every time I sat down with a textbook or walked into a lecture hall, I felt like I was suffocating. When I finally told my parents I was quitting, their reaction wasn't just disappointment, it was outright anger. My dad said I was throwing away the family's future, and my mom said I'd embarrass them in front of all their friends. They told me I had 2 weeks to get out of the house. No discussion, no second chances. I didn't have much at the time, no degree, no steady income, but I packed up and left. For a while, I couch-surfed and freelanced, writing code and designing websites. It was tough, but eventually things turned around. 3 years later, I had my own place, a thriving business, and more money than I knew what to do with. My parents didn't care about any of this. They hadn't even reached out to me since the day I walked out the door. That's why it was such a shock when I got a phone call from my mom out of the blue. She acted like nothing had happened, like we were the kind of family that just called each other to chat. After some small talk, she said they needed my help with something. "It's your sister, Ashley," she said. Ashley was 21 and the golden child of my parents. While I'd been slogging through medical school, Ashley had been living a charmed life. They'd paid for her to go to an expensive private college, bought her a car, and treated her like a princess. She could do no wrong in their eyes, and they were determined to make sure her life remained perfect. Now, apparently, Ashley was getting married, and my parents wanted to give her the wedding of her dreams. "We want it to be perfect," my mother said. "But things are tight right now, and we could really use your help." I was silent for a moment, trying to process what I was hearing. "How much help are we talking about?" I asked. $50,000, she said, as if that was a perfectly reasonable number. 50,000. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. 3 years ago, they'd thrown me out like garbage because I didn't meet their expectations. Now they wanted me to finance a fairy tale wedding for my sister? I told her I'd think about it and hung up, but as soon as I ended the call, I knew what I was going to do. I'd give them the money, but not without telling them the truth about everything first. I didn't call back right away. I wanted to make sure my thoughts were in order. After all, Ashley wasn't just my sister, she was the reason I'd lost so much in the first place. Growing up, Ashley was the center of attention. When I was struggling to keep my grades up in high school, my parents were at her cheerleading competitions or gushing over her prom dress. When I left medical school, she didn't defend me or even check in to see if I was okay. Then there were the 2 relationships she helped destroy. The first was with Emily. We'd been together for 3 years, and I thought we were solid. But Ashley had a knack for causing problems wherever she went. She'd stir up drama, exaggerate stories, and then sit back and watch the fallout. Emily finally had enough and broke up with me after Ashley convinced her that I was too attached to my family to ever prioritize a serious relationship. The second was Sophia. Sophia was different. She didn't care about Ashley's games or my parents' opinions. But when I got kicked out and was struggling to find stability, she understandably decided she didn't want to be a part of it. I don't blame her, but if my family hadn't pulled the rug out from under me, things might have turned out differently. So when my mom called and asked for $50,000, I knew this wasn't just about a wedding. This was about her expecting me to fix everything, just like I always had. I decided to meet them in person to discuss it. They were surprised when I agreed to help, and my father even managed to crack a smile. I told them I wanted to discuss the details with Ashley and her fiancé, Tyler, before transferring any money. So a week later, I found myself sitting in their living room, sipping lukewarm coffee while Ashley beamed at Tyler like he was some prize she'd won. Tyler was polite but quiet, and I could tell he wasn't used to how loud and overbearing my parents could be. They were raving about the venue and the flowers when I cleared my throat. "So, Tyler," I said, cutting through the noise. How much did Ashley tell you about our family? He looked up, a little startled. Not much, really. Just that you're all close and that she's always looked up to you. Close? Looked up to me? That was news to me. Well, I said, keeping my tone casual. There's some history she might have skipped over. Like the fact that I'm the one paying for this wedding. And the reason I can afford it is because I've spent the last 3 years rebuilding my life after our parents kicked me out for not finishing medical school. The room fell silent. My mom opened her mouth to say something, but I continued. And Ashley? She's great at getting what she wants, but it's usually at someone else's expense. I've had 2 serious relationships fall apart because of things she said or did. You should know what you're getting yourself into. Tyler looked at Ashley, his face a mixture of confusion and something darker, maybe doubt. Ashley started to speak, but I could see that Tyler was already replaying things in his head. Moments he might have brushed off before were probably starting to click. I'm just saying, I added, you deserve to know the whole story before you commit to spending your life with someone. Weddings are expensive, but divorce is even more expensive. The silence after I finished speaking was suffocating. My mom's face was flushed, and Ashley looked like she was about to cry. Tyler just sat there, staring at the floor, clearly trying to process what I just dropped on him. Why would you say something like that? Ashley finally managed to sputter out. You're ruining everything. My dad jumped in, his voice rising as he demanded to know why I was trying to sabotage my sister's happiness. But I wasn't fazed. I'd spent years letting them run roughshod over me, and I wasn't going to let them guilt me into silence now. I'm not sabotaging anything, I said calmly. I'm just being honest. Tyler deserves to know what he's getting himself into. If he still wants to marry you after this, great. But I'm not going to stand by and let him get blindsided like I did. Tyler finally looked up, his expression unreadable. Is all this true? He asked Ashley quietly. She began to stammer, trying to downplay everything. He's exaggerating. It's not like that. He's just bitter because he made bad choices and wants to blame everyone else for his problems. I laughed at that irreal, genuine laugh. Sure, Ashley. That's why Mom and Dad came crawling back to me for money after cutting me out of their lives for 3 years. Because I'm the one with problems. Tyler held up a hand, cutting her off. I need to think about this, he said, getting to his feet. Without another word, he grabbed his keys and walked out the door. As soon as he left, all hell broke loose. My mom started screaming about how I'd ruined Ashley's wedding. My dad accused me of being petty and ungrateful, and Ashley just cried. You never should have gotten involved in this, my mom snapped. We didn't ask you to come here and cause drama. We asked you to help your family. Help my family? I repeated. You mean the family that kicked me out and didn't care if I ended up on the street? The family that made sure Ashley had everything while I had nothing? Yeah, forgive me if I'm not feeling very generous right now. They kept yelling, but I'd already said my piece. I got up, grabbed my coat, and told them I'd be in touch about the money. As I walked out, I could still hear Ashley crying. Part of me felt bad she was young and maybe didn't realize how much damage she'd done over the years. But another part of me felt satisfied. Like, for once, I wasn't the one being sacrificed for someone else's happiness. I didn't know what Tyler was going to do, but I had a feeling the wedding plans were about to change. I didn't hear from anyone for a few days after the disaster at my parents' house. Frankly, I wasn't sure if I'd ever hear from them again, and I was okay with that. But on the 5th day, I got a text message from Tyler. Can we talk? I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near his apartment. When I arrived, he was already there, hunched over a cup of coffee. He looked rough, as if he hadn't slept in days. As soon as I sat down, he skipped the pleasantries. What you said the other day, it's been eating at me. I need to know. Is it all true? I looked him straight in the eye. Every word. But if you want details, I'll be happy to lay them out for you. He nodded hesitantly. Okay. Tell me everything. I took a deep breath, leaned forward, and began. My parents didn't just kick me out. They threw me out like I was nothing. I'd spent 6 years in medical school, hating every second of it, but I stuck it out because they were so proud of the idea of having a doctor in the family. The moment I told them I was quitting, they told me I'd embarrassed them. They said I wasn't welcome in their home anymore. Tyler's eyes widened slightly, but I wasn't finished. Meanwhile, Ashley? She's always been the favorite. She got everything: private school, a car, vacations. When I left, she didn't care. Didn't check on me, didn't call. And it wasn't just that. She's the reason 2 of my serious relationships fell apart. His eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? What do you mean? I told him about Emily, my girlfriend of 3 years, and how Ashley had lied to her and created drama just for fun. And then about Sophia, the woman I thought I might marry, who left when Ashley and my parents turned my life into chaos. She thrives on being the center of attention, I said bluntly. She manipulates people, lies when it suits her, and never faces the consequences because my parents always bail her out. And they'll do the same thing when you get married if you get married. You'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. Tyler sat back, stunned. Why hasn't anyone told me this before? Because no one wants to upset the golden child, I said. You're the only person I've ever seen her actually care about, so maybe she'll change. But if you're going to marry her, you need to know the truth. If not, you're walking into a trap. Tyler didn't say anything for a long time. He just stared at the table, his fingers tightening around his coffee cup. I don't even know what to do with this, he said finally. Do whatever feels right, I told him. But don't do it blind. I didn't hear from Tyler after that conversation, but I didn't really expect to. Whatever decision he made, it wasn't going to be easy, and I figured he needed space to process it all. I was right, but I wasn't ready for what came next. 3 days later, I received the news. My phone buzzed with a series of texts from Ashley, starting with, I hope you're happy, you piece of trash. Tyler called off the wedding. There was more after that, long paragraphs of insults, accusations, and guilt trips, but I didn't bother to read them. I'd already figured it out. The next call was from my mother. She didn't wait for me to say hello before launching into a tirade. What the hell is wrong with you? Do you have any idea what you've done to this family? I told the truth, I said simply. If that was enough to break Ashley's engagement, maybe she wasn't ready to get married in the first place. Oh, don't give me that nonsense, she snapped. You humiliated her. You embarrassed us in front of Tyler and his family. Do you know how hard it's going to be to make this right? That's not my problem, I said. If you want to talk about fixing things, why don't we start with how you treated me? Or doesn't it matter because I'm not Ashley? There was a long pause. You just don't understand family loyalty, she finally said. I laughed bitterly. Family loyalty? You mean the kind you showed me when you kicked me out with nothing? Or the kind Ashley showed when she destroyed my relationships for fun? If that's your idea of loyalty, no thanks. She started yelling again, but I hung up. I wasn't going to spend another second letting her twist the story. The next morning, my father showed up at my apartment unannounced. He didn't even ask to come in, he just walked right past me like he owned the place. You have to fix this, he said. Your sister's heartbroken, your mother's beside herself, and Tyler's family is angry. You're tearing this family apart. I stared at him, barely holding back my anger. You want me to fix it? Sure. Just let me go back in time and not get kicked out of the house. Or maybe I can undo the years of favoritism you showed Ashley while treating me like a disappointment. Oh wait, I can't. This isn't about you, he shouted. Exactly, I shot back. It never is. It's always about Ashley. Her needs, her happiness, her perfect little world. You've spent your whole life propping her up and tearing me down, and now you're shocked that someone finally called her out. Well, guess what? I'm done. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The fallout was swift. My phone never stopped buzzing with messages from my parents and Ashley. Every single one of them blamed me for ruining the wedding and tearing the family apart. I ignored them all. Tyler's family was scrambling to cancel everything: venues, caterers, the works. The whispers spread quickly through the family's social circles, and soon Ashley wasn't just heartbroken. She was humiliated. A few days later, my father called again. This time he wasn't yelling. He sounded tired. "You made your point," he said. "But this has gone too far. You need to talk to Tyler and make this right." I didn't even hesitate. "No," I said. "I am not responsible for cleaning up the mess that you and Ashley have made. Maybe this is a wake-up call for all of you." He didn't respond, he just hung up. That was fine with me. After my dad's call, the messages from my family stopped. I figured they finally realized I wasn't going to fix anything for them. This silence lasted for about a week until Ashley showed up at my door. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. She stood there with red, puffy eyes, a handkerchief in one hand and her phone in the other. "Can I come in?" she asked. I let her in, mostly to avoid making a scene in the hallway. She sat down on my couch without waiting for an invitation and started talking. "You don't understand how much this has hurt me," she said. "Tyler was everything to me, and now he's gone. And it's because of you." I remained silent, letting her get it all out. When she finally stopped, I said, "Ashley, do you really think this is all my fault? Or is it possible that Tyler made his own decision because of what he saw?" She bristled, but I didn't stop. "You've spent your whole life having everything handed to you, with Mom and Dad cleaning up your mistakes. Tyler saw the real you and he didn't like what he saw. That's not on me." She stared at me, her expression changing from anger to something closer to guilt. "But you didn't have to tell him," she said softly. "Maybe not," I admitted. "But I wasn't going to let him go into a marriage blind. And honestly, you needed to hear it too." Ashley didn't say much after that. She just nodded, got up, and left. For the first time, I thought maybe she understood. A few weeks went by and things started to calm down. My parents stopped calling, and Ashley went quiet. I thought that was the end of it, but then I got another text from her. "I know you hate me, but I want to talk." We met in a park near her apartment. She looked different, calmer, more subdued. For once, she didn't have the air of someone who thought the world owed her something. "I've been thinking about what you said," she began. "About how Mom and Dad always gave me everything. And you're right. I never really noticed it before, but they always treated me differently." I didn't say anything, just let her continue. "I talked to Tyler," she continued. "He said he wasn't ready to get married because he didn't think I was either. He told me that I was too dependent on other people and that I needed to figure out who I was before I tried to build a life with someone else." "That sounds fair," I said. She nodded. "I'm not saying I agree with how you handled it, but I understand why you did it. I guess I needed a wake-up call." It wasn't the apology of the century, but it was something. We talked for a while, mostly about her plans to take some time and figure out what she wanted. Before she left, she turned around and said, "I hope we can work things out someday." "I really do." "I hope so too," I said. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. As for my parents, I didn't expect them to change. But I wasn't angry anymore. I'd made my point, and I felt at peace. A few days later, I sent them an email with details for an all-expenses-paid tour of Europe, a little olive branch. Not because I owed them anything, but because I wanted to close the chapter on my own terms. Revenge may have felt sweet in the moment, but what felt even better was finally letting go.